how does one create high converting UGC pieces? And in fact, this is the exact formula that we use at paidadvertising.com. It helps us produce over 75 monthly UGC pieces across our different partners. So we've produced well over 1,000 pieces of UGC in the last year alone and spent millions of dollars on these pieces of content. So I want to give you today my exact framework for how I build a high converting UGC piece of content. If you're new to the channel, you don't yet know who I am. My name is Justin and I'm the founder at paidadvertising.com, an online marketing growth firm specializing in elevating thriving brands by simplifying e-commerce growth. With that being said, let's get straight into it. So how do you create high converting UGC? Well, let me show you my formula. So the first step is research. So what I do is typically when a new client comes in, we do these two things. I've got a part of my research that I call the research center, and then the other part is called the marketing plan. So the research center is a Google sheet, a little bit like what you can see here. I believe I've made other videos about it in the past, but it's a place for me to store any information uncovered during my research phase, which I'll share in a second. What is that information? And then typically this is boiled down into a very extensive report sent to our clients about their audience, their avatars, the psychographics, their basically literally everything you can think about their audience, its desires and such, as well as all of our storyboard, our inspiration, our ad ideas, and the justification within the data for these, right? Which typically ends up becoming like a 10 to 17 page document or so. I think that one actually is, there you go. That's a 17 page document in itself. So pretty beefy PDF right there. So in the research phase, there's two places if you want to, you would look into internal and external, right? So internal, it's owned data. So inside the business in itself. So that's where I start when building a UGC piece is I first build this very beefy research center. I'll typically build these up to learn more about the brand in itself and its customers. So that way I know how to position and orient my UGC piece of content. So right here, own data. So inside the business, I'll look at the client's post-purchase surveys, replies, Google Analytics, ads manager stats, Shopify stats also, right? So best-selling products, traffic per country, region and such, reviews that they have, social media comments perhaps and more. And then external would be the market research. So Google or trends, Reddit, Quora, competitors' websites, social media, so on and so forth, right? In an effort to understand the below elements in the following order. So in here, I want to find as much information or data as possible about the following 4 points. So the product in itself, right? Again, that could be the data, my best-selling products in itself, or the products that have the most return in my store, the products that most often get bought together. What is the description of these products? What are the features of these products? What are the mechanisms, as kind of mentioned right here, of these products? What is unique about these products? So I detail everything that I know from a description standpoint, as well as from a data standpoint about these products. Then I get into the mass appeal of them. So basically, why would a big amount of people want a product like this one? How can I make sure that this is a product that is going to be wanted by as many people as possible without going too broad, perhaps? And then the desires, which are some of the different mass market desires that could be evoked by my audience, that my audience already has, or that could be linked to a product like mine. So I find as much information as possible about these 4 points through those above sources. If you didn't know, by the way, now with ChatGPT 4, you can upload a document to ChatGPT and ask questions to it. So again, very useful if you have like a post-purchase survey document. You can just download it, upload it to ChatGPT and start asking questions to that document. Same thing if you have like reviews as an example, download a CSV of it, upload it to ChatGPT and start polling essentially ChatGPT for answers about those reviews, right? So you could ask essentially a review document, what are some of the desires evoked by the audience there? Any pain points evoked by the audience right there? What are some of the keywords or themes recurring in my reviews, right? So pretty useful whenever you're doing your research. Now, step number 2 is persona/avatar building. So here, the first step you're going to want to do is organize the research data. So you're going to want to make sense of this. So this, think of it like just a brainstorm session, is pulling and finding as much information as possible about these 4 points. Here, you want to organize and do some triage with this data. So which is good data, which is bad data, which is useful information, what is not useful information. Now, you're going to want to look at these mass market desires that you would have uncovered here that are already evoked by your audience or can be linked to your products, and you want to transform them into one statement, right? And here, attaching your product performance and persona. So in other words, coming back right here, what I mean by product performance is in the product in itself, you would have uncovered a bunch of features and mechanisms and unique selling propositions around your product. Tie those to a benefit. That kind of becomes the product performance in itself. So that's just featured benefit of the product. You've listed a bunch of them and then you link those with a persona here. So I put a kind of an asterisk there because I'll get back to it in a second. You'd want to have the following pieces of information about your persona when building it, which is found through the same sources here, right? Internal and external sources. So going back right there, you'd want to find demographics, how old typically are my customers or my desired customers, characteristics or behavioral traits of them. So what do they do on a day-to-day basis, beliefs and wants, and the latter 2 points mentioned above, which again are these two, which this is what you would want to also kind of tag along to your persona picture if you want that you're going to build. Because I always say there's tons of different personas you can target in a given product. Like again, this very simple iPhone, I can sell that to elders and frame it as a product that is easy to use, or I can frame it to the tech savvy professional and just have it as an extension of their already existing working tools, right? Two personas, same product. Kind of the same thing here. You'll want to look into the data that you found right there, which is my most likely to be main persona. You probably have a core persona that recurs the most. Perhaps you have 2 or 3, but usually you'd want to limit those, especially for most brands, you know, under $10 million a year. You want to keep that quite straightforward and limited to about 1 to 3 different personas to target with your ads. Done my research. I did a brainstorm. I have all the info about this here. I organized and bundled this up under one persona. So who's the most likely to purchase my product? What are all their beliefs, their wants, their character traits? Now I move into concepting. So here, the first part would be figuring out what you would commonly call the concept headline, but most people refer to as the hook, essentially. So the hook, right, in the video or the static. So the big bold statement said either at the start or again in kind of capital letters or something on a static creative. So to do so, you'd have to consider your personas most likely to be awareness level and sophistication stage. So with all the research you would have done, you want to consider here how aware is my persona, right? Are they solution aware? Are they problem aware? Are they product aware? Are they unaware? Are they most aware? Like where are they in regards to my brand? Usually the bulk of advertising will be within essentially problem aware to product aware. That's where most of the people will be at. And again, you probably will have to do some testing in the future. You'll probably have to do ads of different awareness levels to see if some perform better than others, but you want to take an educated guess here. So that's the beauty with marketing, is that the better you get, the more intuition you have, the more likely you are to hit it out of the park from the start. But here, through the data, take an educated guess as to what is the most likely to convert awareness level. Now, sophistication stage, which again, through your data, especially mostly external data. So looking through the competition, how many other competitors are out there? How exposed has my persona been to similar solutions or offerings, so on and so forth. Going back to the step 3 right here, which now gives you who you're speaking to. So you have the persona, right? This is the who. Then how should you be speaking to them? So awareness level and sophistication stage. So you got the who, now you have how, and then you have the what, which is what you should be speaking to them about, which is the desire, which you would have encountered essentially here and narrowed down further in step 2. So you have the who, you have the how, you have the what. So now you've got everything you need to write your headline or your hook essentially. Then look into the concept or the body of it, the messaging of it as a step 3.2 if you want to call it that way, right? Now, very important. Now that you have your hook, now that you have the strong statement you want to create, at this point, I haven't even decided, do I want to make this a video? Do I want to make this into a static? What do I want to do with this? I don't yet have it. I don't yet need it. You don't need to think about the style of ad you want to make right up until this point. So now this is what we get into the nitty-gritty, creating the actual ad creative. So in this case, you'll want to browse ad libraries like Foreplay or Magix or so on and so forth. So you want to look into these different ad libraries and find ad inspiration that fits the above elements. What do I mean by that? Well, now that you know essentially that, let's say your prospect is a problem-aware prospect, you know the audience you're going to want to speak to, right? Because you know their demographics, you've built that persona, you know the desire, you can find similar ads. You can head over to an ad library and start searching for ads that have a problem-aware messaging, or ads that speak to a similar demographic, or ads that evoke a similar desire, which helps you now have much more curated ad inspiration versus just finding stuff that looks good, as an example. So there's a difference between what looks good and what converts. So now you want to find inspiration based on what you know is most likely to convert. So in this next stage essentially of your concepting and kind of ad creation phase, so for videos, well, now this is where you'd want to create your script. So either a UGC script or just the script of how the video, the storyboard if you want, of how it would work out. And if it's a static, then at this point, you'd want to move solely into the ad inspiration part and find ways to incorporate your bold statement, your concept headline into essentially a static, right? If you were to make videos, it's quite simple because at this point you have everything you need to make that script. This is where AI comes in, which essentially what you can do is you can feed it all of the data, the who, the what, and the how, essentially, right? So, hey, ChatGPT, here's my persona. They're this old. So going back here, they're this old. This is their character traits. This is their beliefs and their wants. This essentially is their awareness level. This is their sophistication stage. And here's the biggest desire, the mass market desire I want to evoke in my ad. Write me a UGC script that is going to be read out loud by one of our creators. Boom. That's it. Now you have a UGC script. Very important. You can also tell ChatGPT a framework by which to write the script, which is even better if you want to keep a little bit more control over the storyline. I say that and I made a couple videos of this in the past, but a lot of people in this space talk about building blocks, right? So some of the common building blocks, it's like those that you have right here, and I can make that a little bit bigger. So it's like product intro, problem, twist the knife, solution. Those are all like building blocks that some brands essentially will kind of reuse. Keep in mind, each of these building blocks are tied to a specific awareness level, right? Like here, product intro, problem, twist the knife, solution. It's most likely to be a problem aware ad right here, right? That because we're starting straight with the problem and then trying to convert them into knowing the solution that could be offered to them. And usually you'll get a very solid response from ChatGPT if you fed it with, again, the who, the how, and the what properly. And then the fourth stage, which I don't have mapped out here in the deck, but I could tell you it's very straightforward. You go back to the persona that you have. You go back to the who, okay? So now that I have my script, I know my script is fundamentally sound. It checks out with all of the data that I've had and all of the research that I've done. I would go into my UGC creator content pool or a company like Incense as an example, and I would just limit the content creators that would apply to my campaign to be exactly like my who right here. I'm just basically asking for my persona to shoot the same video I want to target to a similar persona. That's usually what I would want to do. So then I fit essentially that persona. I meet them where they're at, essentially. So I look like I'm one of them. So that's pretty much it. This is how to create a high converting piece of UGC content with this proven 3-step formula shown in this video. Now, if you want to partner with a paid ads partner and content partner that can create these killer UGC content pieces for your brand as well as run your ads across Meta, Google, and TikTok, click the link down below and book in a call to speak with our team at paidadvertising.com. With that said, if you want to learn more about our research techniques and such and how we use AI to do so, join a free school community also linked in the description down below. With that being said, I'm gonna wish you an amazing day. Check out other videos on the channel for some more useful e-commerce marketing tips, and I'll see you very soon. Peace.